Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Jetro Chicago's Jconnect webinar. My name is Kevin Call, Business Development Specialist from Jetro Chicago, and I'll be moderating the webinar today. I'd like to start off by wishing a Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope everyone in their businesses are off to a good start for this new year. Our topic for today is Connected Worker, featuring Anvil from Indianapolis, Indiana, Real-Time Risk Solutions from Chicago, Illinois, and Helium from Columbia, Missouri. Today's topic couldn't be more timely. As you can see, I'm not in the Jconnect studios in downtown Chicago, so I'm a bit of a connected worker myself today due to the big snowstorm that's hit Chicago. So we are approaching our topic of connected worker from several angles today, using connected technology to improve productivity and worker safety, how to manage a remote workforce, and to monitor the well-being of your employees. The connected worker technology market is anticipated to be valued globally at over $12 billion by 2027 as companies continue to evolve their digital transformation strategies and to strive to improve their productivity and competitiveness. If this is your first time attending the Jconnect webinar, we would like to welcome you. The focus of this series is to help connect innovative North American startups to Japanese affiliated companies doing business here in North America, and most importantly, to help facilitate business relationships between the two. On the flip side, this series aims to help improve the productivity of Japanese companies and to help accelerate their open innovation strategies. I'd also like to remind you to check out the landing page for the Jconnect webinar series on our Jetro USA webpage. You can find dates and information on upcoming industry topics, as well as recordings of our previous webinars. Today's webinar recording should be available on the website within about 2 to 3 days, so please check again on Jetro USA's website. I'm going to go ahead and share some housekeeping notes now prior to beginning the webinar. Today's, of all days, a day that we might actually have issues since we're all kind of stuck here in Chicago remotely. First, here's how to operate the control panel for questions. Your microphones are muted to avoid noises. For this reason, questions should be entered in the box labeled question in the control panel on the far right side of the screen. If you don't see the panel, click on the orange arrow to show the panel. All of the questions will be answered after the 3 presentations have concluded. So we'll have a question and answer panel session at the end. And in the unlikely event that the webinar system shuts down for any reason, we will reboot the system for you. So please log in just a couple minutes reusing the join webinar button. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. His name is Billy Welch. He's based here in Chicago with Real-Time Risk Solutions. Real-Time Risk Solutions develops risk management technology solutions to help companies manage distributed workforces and environmental, health, and safety risks, allowing companies to empower workers with dynamic mobile apps to easily capture higher quality data wherever they go and provide real-time insight to management. RTRS has been recognized as an innovator as a finalist in the 2020 Zurich Innovation Championship, the American Society of Safety Engineers Innovation Award, and the National Association of Home Builders Innovation Award. As Director of Strategic Partnerships, Billy has spent 14 years working with large insurance entities and their large corporate clients developing risk management and risk transfer solutions. He graduated from the prestigious Kelley School of Business at Indiana University, my alma mater as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Billy. If you can go ahead and we'll go ahead and share your screen here.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Is everyone able to see my screen okay now?
Yes.
It looks good.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kira, and thank you, Matt, and the rest of the Jetro team for inviting us to speak today. I'm looking forward to introducing our company to you and hopefully engaging with you after the presentation to see how we can help you better manage your teams and reduce risk across your organizations. You know, our company, having a little difficult, there we go. Our company was founded in 2014. Our founder managed capital projects across large organizations for a number of years and brings 25 years of project management experience to the team. My colleague and I bring about 40 years of experience to the team through insurance and risk management. And what we've done as an organization is we've partnered with a number of global insurance carriers, for instance, AXA XL and Zurich, and we're actually in discussions with a number of large Japanese carriers to provide our solutions to them and ultimately to their clients to help better manage risks. In terms of our clients, we take a very client-driven, long-term, relationship-driven approach, and this has allowed us to help us work with companies who are operating agricultural co-ops, very large contractors across the globe, Fortune 500 companies, whether that be energy or mining entities, manufacturing companies. And then we do have a couple of government entities that operate utilities and transit authorities. Our platform is also translatable, so we can provide the content that we have and the best practices that we have in multiple language, Japanese potentially being one of them. And so what do we do for you? We help you streamline quality and safety reporting. From there, we give you the tools to be able to collaborate internally with internal teams, but also to bring in external contractors or vendors to help identify and close out open risk issues that are identified within our platform. And then ultimately, we're helping you gather insights across your employees, across broader teams and locations, and even across operating companies to help deliver insights back to management to help improve the quality and safety of the organization using the data that's collected from the people in the field. We're helping clients replace point solutions and eliminate paper across their organization by delivering a very easy to use and adopt platform. Typically clients are up and running in under 2 weeks across organizations. This rapid ability to deploy our platforms helps companies save time and money. And the collaboration tools that we have built into the platform also help us save time and money by helping to reduce risks and the collaboration to reduce these risks across our teams. Teams in the field are able to access critical information at the point of impact, but we're also able to protect sensitive information. So as accident or incident reports are filed, only the relevant people at the organization are able to access that information, keeping information siloed and protecting personally identifiable and private information. But the biggest thing I think that we do is really help you standardize reporting while being able to comply with local requirements. So as you move from local jurisdiction to jurisdiction, the requirements and regulations may differ, and our platform allows you to take into account those, but still streamline that data and harness that data to drive insights. And we do that through our analytic dashboards, where companies can identify trends, benchmark, and even generate alerts to reduce the impact of adverse events across your organization. A growing part of our platform are integrations. So depending on the industry, you're probably using multiple softwares to manage your teams. And we are taking those separate platforms and allowing information to pass seamlessly across them, including things like Okta to manage team security and create single sign-ons for our companies to make accessing systems much easier for our employees. And taking into account that client-driven approach, we have an entire learning management system that we baked into our platform. And this was driven by clients saying, well, we really appreciate the insights that you're helping us drive, but we want to know a way to take that back to help train our employees to become a learning organization. And so we developed an entire learning management system baked into our platform to make sure that we're holistically managing the risks and taking that insight to help further reduce risk across our teams. Now, when we think about reporting, we're thinking about things like accidents and incidents, daily reports, inspections, and even training, and really much, much more. And so our system is helping teams comply with things. For instance, as COVID-19 reared its ugly head, we were able to deploy reporting tools to allow companies to see where employees were having accidents and screening them before they could enter the buildings. We're helping companies track things like certifications and compliance, completion of various tasks, the closing out of open risk issues, and trainings, and more recently, vaccinations. So as our employees are being vaccinated, they're providing information back to the company about the vaccinations through our platform. And from the data that's collected, we're able to benchmark across particular clients that we're serving, employees, our individual locations, and things ranging from broader teams or even our operating companies that we are managing. And then the ability to drill down to analyze things like claims, defects, performance, other risk issues, and general trends that we see across our business, all the while being able to collaborate with internal parties and external parties to appropriately manage risks. And so here's a very brief case study that I wanted to show about reporting and tracking the risk issues or the leading indicators of risks. So as facility managers or supervisors are going around, they're going around the facility, they're able to document open risk issues and deliver that information back to our platform. And we had a very large manufacturing company that had really high accident rates at their facilities. This was leading to high turnover and lower productivity across their organization. So we were able to help them deploy the best practices embedded in our platform to identify, collaborate, and reduce risk. And we were able to take these insights and roll it into our learning management system and training to help further reduce accident rates. And along with this, we're taking the leading indicators of risks and tying that back to the lagging indicators of risks. So these are your claims, your equipment breakdown, or your incident data, and tying that back into one platform so you can identify those leading indicators of risk and tie them back to the lagging indicators. Here's a simple, within this is a simple case study of where we were working with a large defense contractor and helped them save hundreds of man hours preparing and reporting accident and incident data to the US government. And this organization had a payback period of well under 60 days, deploying our platform solely for reporting accident and incident reporting. Another kind of brief case study that I wanted to show is the tracking of insurance certificates across our vendors. So an insurance company that we're working with, they had a client that was having difficulty managing insurance certs across the various vendors and contractors that they work with. So within the platform, we developed the reporting and tracking tools to help streamline the information gathering of insurance certs to help save a significant amount of time in compliance reporting. And so this is generally what the mobile application looks like. Importantly, the mobile app works offline, and it's also available for any iOS or Android device. Another recent thing that we've introduced is QR codes. So I welcome anyone who's on the call. They can take their smartphone, scan that QR code, and now fill out information on their browser and provide that information back to the company. It doesn't require any training, and it doesn't require managing of user licenses, but you're gaining that insight and information from all the various contractors that you're working with. Companies are able to identify and assign open issues from our observation module, complete kind of daily reporting from our mobile forms module, conduct continuous safety meetings through things like toolbox talks and safety meetings, and then also access critical information like policies and procedures, or really any kind of PDF that you can make available for teams to access, like a site-specific safety plan as an example. And so here's what we're seeing as a collaboration tool. So as I identify an open risk issue, I can add pictures, I can add photos, I can add notes. And once we do have an open issue, we can establish a follow-up needs to be required. And we can assign this to people through email or via the app. If I'm assigning it to externally, that individual will get access to an email and be able to provide that information through the email back to the platform. And then that information that we're seeing allows us to benchmark and trend. So we can see specific locations on where we're having particular issues, like our 7th and Grand parking lot, for instance, is having issues. And we can drill into that data to see, okay, is it a subcontractor issue? Is it an issue with training? And really get a robust feel about what's happening across the organization based on what our employees are providing through our mobile risk platform. Another case study I wanted to share within COVID-19 is really just a case study in the flexibility of our platform. We had a client out of the Northeast who was managing facilities across North America, and they needed a way to manage COVID screening between shifts. And I'm sure a lot of your companies today have established processes and protocols to do something similar. But what we were able to do for this company in particular was deploy our platform company-wide in less a week, and have literally saved thousands of man hours as shift changes, and also helped keep their facilities outbreak free. And now we're again helping this company report on the vaccines. And in this particular example, the company had a payback period of 5 days. Lastly, I wanted to show something at a high level to show how we can help companies operate our tool across the multiple operating companies that they may have. So this is something that we developed for a large organization that was managing a number of capital projects. And we gave them the insight to be able to drill down across a particular operating company, a particular project, or other very detailed information for that company to see what steps they have in mitigating a capital project kind of as it's going through the various stages of development. And the powerful thing that I think we really provide, especially for companies of your size, is the ability to provide very unique tools to the people in the field while rolling up that information to be used across an individual operating company or multiple operating companies at a corporate level. You know, again, we're trusted by a number of the world's largest insurance carriers, and this list continues to expand. But I really welcome anyone that's interested to scan the QR code there to request a demo. And we also provide pilots for 30 days. But thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to any questions that the group might have.
Thank you, Billy. We're going to go ahead and save questions towards the end here. I'm going to launch a poll really quick. If you would like to learn more information about real-time risk solutions, you can answer in the poll here really quickly. And we're going to get ready to go ahead and switch to our next speaker. And I'm going to leave this poll up. So I'm going to read the about the next company and Robin Fleming. Anvil is our next company. They're a startup based in Indianapolis, Indiana. Anvil was born at the intersection of technology and corporate safety, delivering solutions to identify hazards encountered by frontline workers and intervening at the point of risk. That same approach has expanded to operational and quality processes, still with a focus on equipping and empowering frontline workers with guidance, resources, and a voice to help prevent injuries, identify problems, be more productive, and save costs. Anvil won the 2020 Mira Innovation of the Year Award and has been nominated for 6 awards, selected as a finalist for 4 innovation events, and recognized as the Verdantix Market Overview for EHS mobile applications. Robin Fleming, she's joining us by phone today. She's the CEO and co-founder of Anvil and has more than 30 years of experience in software and technology leadership roles for brands such as Match.com, Teradata, and Angie's List. Robin's career has been devoted to building and delivering innovative software solutions. She is passionate about partnering with customers and applying her technology expertise to workplace safety for the millions of Americans who make up the deathless workforce and work in hazardous conditions every day. Robin, can you hear?
Yes, I can.
Welcome. And are you getting a lot of snow down there in Indianapolis?
No, it's definitely cold though. So the lesson is bundle up and be safe.
All right, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to you here. So go ahead and start if you like.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. I'm excited to share what we're doing at Anvil. We did start at the intersection of safety and have really moved forward since then to help bring a connected worker solution to both frontline workers and supervisors. Next slide. Our platform, we do focus, as I mentioned, on frontline workers and supervisors. And what's unique about us is instead of a traditional form-based solution, our solution is meant to be a guided experience for frontline workers and supervisors. So think of those questionnaires and forms that might have 40 questions. What we do is really simplify that down into the most important questions, and answers to questions really determine what happens next. In the moment, we're able to capture critical data, escalate issues, so that workers are supported when it matters most. For managers and executives, they benefit from data, rich data, real-time insights that's actionable, and the compliance reports as well that come out of that. Next slide. Out of that becomes faster improvement. So with that data, we're able to help companies improve decisions and ultimately change the culture, which drives productivity improvements. It helps lower costs. And for managers and executives, you can imagine the time that they can save now by actually having access to data in the moment versus waiting for those reports to be created over time. And in the center of the screen, you'll see this communication arrows that go both ways. Our goal with Anvil is to connect managers and leaders so that they can have caring conversations, so that critical issues can be escalated and remediated versus waiting for the lagging data that can cost time, money, and even lives. Next slide. The unique thing about us is really that posture around identifying issues at that earliest point. And this could be a quality issue on the manufacturing line. This might be an operational issue, or it could be a safety issue of a worker not being trained and authorized, someone having a problem with a digital work permit that causes work to stop and cost your company money. And what you see in orange, that's what typically happens with policies and processes in place. Those are great, they're necessary, but what you see in blue is what we do with Anvil, where we move everything as early as possible to detect an issue, to communicate that issue, to alert on that issue, and ultimately our goal is to drive culture changes, which those changes can go straight to the bottom line. Next slide. Our overarching goal is really to help enterprises improve and to innovate. Here's a handful of the logos that we focus on. We have built our solution for enterprise. We have thousands of users on our platform that use our platform on a daily or weekly basis with over 90% engagement, which really helps drive that culture change. We are worker first, and that means we have to meet the workers where they're at with a super easy to use mobile app. On average, it takes 20 minutes for a user to get up to speed and they're productive on our app. We can get you up and running in a very short period of time as well, hours or days versus weeks or months. And we have a unique automated offline mode. So there's no need for a worker to select that they have no connectivity. We automatically detect that your connectivity is not available, whether you drop to perhaps a 2G mode or you don't have connectivity at all. We continue to work 100%, and then when you have connectivity again, we reconnect. And that's critically important to really meet those workers where they're at. And a result of all of this is that we have fast adoption with our workers and our supervisors. They continue to find new use cases. We've had no customer churn, and we tend to go a bit viral in a company as they find new use cases. Next slide. I'll walk you through a few case scenarios and how our customers are benefiting. And we have an industrial equipment customer who was continuing to have an issue with really life-threatening hazards for their workers in jobs that really needed to be stopped. So in Anvil, we've actually implemented a digital and-on cord so that workers can be prompted based on our assessment of elevated risk, or in the situation, if the worker does not feel safe to continue, we give them the ability to stop a job. And for this particular customer, these numbers are higher now, but we detected over 750 proactive stop jobs. We notified the worker and managers and leaders, and if that had resulted in an injury, a typical cost of a medically consulted injury can be as much as $32,000 just for starters. Next slide. Another use case is where we're leveraging our analytics platform. We have really focused on how do we not only capture the data in an easy way, but how do we make sense of the data? Our natural language processing captures things that you could never architect into your checklist. And in this case, we detected biological hazards. After management was notified, we were able to actually put the right training in place, put the right PPE in place. And not only was this an issue with one worker, this was actually a trend and an issue across multiple workers. So tremendous opportunity and cost savings for us to detect and remediate these issues. Next slide. And the last case study I'll show you is around something very simple, a near-miss process. In this particular case, our customer generated about 30,000 pieces of paper every year. They entered them into Microsoft Excel, trying to make sense of it, which was extraordinarily time-consuming, and then they didn't really have the analytics coming out of that. We were able to implement this, and after 14 days of use, the customer had so much value out of the product that they moved to a full agreement with us. They've been using the product for quite a while now, and we've estimated potential cost savings for just this one process over the value of their contract to be over $800,000. Next slide. Just a sample of some of the feedback from our customers. All of our customers are referenceable. They're happy. You know, there's different things that we do for each customer, and that's one of the things that makes us unique. Next slide. A bit about our platform, just to kind of help you understand what we do. So we are one platform. It is one single application that you see on the left side. We are iOS and Android. We support tablet and mobile handset, offline mode for both of those. And one of the huge benefits of our solution is you could think of the types of processes that might be on paper or might not really be optimized digitally today. So we can take your lockout tagout process. We can take your equipment inspection. We could take a quality inspection. We could take a COVID checklist, a broad set of whatever you need, and that all is available for a worker or a supervisor in our single application based on their role and based on the work that they do. Everything from alerts over to the right is how we really support managers and supervisors in an executive leadership team. We have the ability to configure real-time alerts based on areas of elevated risk, stop jobs, and then all of the data feeds into a real-time data feed or dashboard so that you can see exactly what's happening, where it's happening, gives you a very robust set of information for compliance. You can drill into photographs. We allow workers to annotate the photographs. And we support features such as voice to text on our mobile devices, and so you'll see all of those verbatims from the workers. And then the last piece is on the far right. That's the data analytics piece. And we leverage our data analytics platform to make sense of the data for you. We serve up where your hotspots are, where are the biggest issues, and then we give you the capability to drill down into that data as much as you'd like. We also will partner with you if you need the data sliced a different way. You need some custom reports. We have the ability to create those for you. And then the last piece would be integrations. We can integrate, today we support mobility management solutions, various SSO authentication solutions, and we're also working with a number of customers on integrations into their work order management systems. And we have another scenario where we're actually working to integrate into factory systems so that Anvil becomes the user interface for a stop job, a pre-work assessment, and a safe start process. Next slide. And one feature that we'll be coming out with here in the next few weeks that we're really excited about is we're taking the communication to the next level. There'll be the ability in our application to have some expanded communications with our in-app messaging so that in context of an issue, Let's say the worker doesn't have the right PPE, or perhaps there's a quality issue that needs immediate attention. Managers and supervisors can connect directly with those frontline workers, frontline supervisors, to have a conversation about that in the application. And then you have a full record of everything that's happened, which can help. We believe this will help dramatically with having the right kind of conversations and with innovating. Next slide. And I showed you that first slide where you see the architecture of Anvil. As you zoom out for an organization, you could think about an enterprise where there's maybe factory, there's logistics, there might be a construction project, you might have warehousing. What we have the ability to do with Anvil, based on how we configure our solution for you, is give you a high-level view of your entire organization. So each one of these boxes on the left would be collecting data from hundreds of thousands of your workforce, all feeding into a single view so that you can actually take actions, not just in one location, but you can have that insight across the organization. Next slide. We're going to go through this next set of slides pretty quickly because I want to give you a sense of what the solution might look like. The mobile handset that you see on the left, that represents what the user experience would be for a frontline worker or supervisor. The alerts and data analytics are really that piece for supervisors and leaders. And so I mentioned a lockout tagout process, a safe start process that could be connected into factory equipment so that Anvil becomes that user interface. Next slide. Inspections, whether that's quality, operations, safety, again, you'll get the sense that it's a very familiar and very similar platform. There's the ability to do pick lists. We can include instructions. We can require things like photographs. Next slide. Here's a quality defect view. Again, very similar, but we can meet you where you're at and drive these changes in these workflows based on feedback from your frontline workers or based on new technology changes that you might have that would cause these workflows to need to change. And for the workers, we can roll those changes out without the need for downloading a new version of the app or resetting your analytics statistics. Next slide. Near miss process, again, looks very similar. Next slide. Work permits, this is an area that we're working with a number of customers to help them move to digital for their work permits, whether that's a safe work permit or other types of permits that require a really smart control and validation. Next slide. COVID health check. Next slide. General work instructions. Next slide. And here's another quote. We love our customers. We view that we're an extension of our customer to help them really drive change and innovation and really help from the day that we start a sales process to help taking care of rollouts for them, training through support. Next slide. This is, our goal is to really help across an organization, whether that might be on a factory floor, helping you with field services for your equipment, supporting with construction projects. We really view ourselves as that solution that can be agnostic and help provide that connectivity across the enterprise. Next one. I would be, from an Anvil perspective, we are very interested in additional expansion, especially into manufacturing and automotive. We have a number of customers here. We have a number of product features that we're working on that we think will take our product to the next level. For more information, you can go to anvil.com or feel free to contact me directly. I'd love to talk with you, hear what you're doing, hear what your needs are, or give you a demo. My email is robin@anvil.com and would love to hear your feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Robin. And I'd like to remind everybody in the audience, if you'd like to go ahead and continue to put in any questions that you might have, to put that into the question box. I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll here for getting more information from Robin and Anvil. And I'm going to go ahead and start introducing our next speaker here as well. Wendy Moore of Helium. Helium is a virtual human performance channel powered by biometric data from consumer wearables. Helium's augmented reality and virtual reality products allow users to heal virtual worlds with their EEG brain patterns and heart rate from smartwatches. Helium has been recognized with awards for Mass Challenge, the P&G Ventures Innovations Challenge, South by Southwest, and CES. Wendy Moore is the Chief Operating Officer and Data Protection Officer at Helium. Wendy is a technologist working at the intersection of healthcare, spatial computing, and bioinformatics. As COO and Data Protection Officer of Helium, she leads global business development, revenue strategy, and data privacy. Wendy's experience in operations, change management, and finance has provided her with the opportunity to work with companies and leaders in all industries, from multinational companies to early-stage startups, coming from a $4 billion SaaS company and award-winning entrepreneurial ecosystem builders. So Wendy, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now. If you want to go ahead and share your screen.
Love to. Thank you. And can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. So it's a pleasure to be here. And it looks like everything's presenting. So thank you. And I love hearing from the companies that came before me, very data-driven, connected worker solutions. And so I'm coming to you with Helium. Helium is built to help employees build resilience with their mental health, unlock the potential, and improve their performance. Improved mental health initiatives and lower stress leads to better working memory, reduced errors, and improved productivity on the workforce. At Helium, we are enabling the worker to embrace these immersive worlds through either virtual or augmented reality and actually power them with a state of focused calm. So reaching that flow state, reaching that state of flow productivity in the middle of a workday, allowing them to escape their current reality and step inside of Helium, which is a clinically validated intervention shown to reduce stress and anxiety in as little as 4 minutes, just by slipping on a headset or stepping inside one of these immersive, beautiful worlds. We use Helium as mental fitness training inside of a new reality. The new realities inside of augmented and virtual reality, as well as the new reality we're facing in a post-pandemic world where workers are used to balancing the act of having a home life that's in transition, a workforce in transition, remote work, and staying connected with the workforce that they're working in. You can see here on the screen, we work in both augmented and virtual reality. In augmented reality, this is just on a mobile device. This is an employee's personal device that they can use on a break or when they're at home, downshifting the nervous system in a harmless and drugless way that's proven to show improved results for reducing stress. Or you can go into the most immersive reality of it, which is using virtual reality paired with a neurofeedback or biofeedback component. What makes Helium unique is that it's data-driven. We are able to not only transport the employee into a beautiful nature-based experience, but they can also power that experience with this state of focused calm. The focused calm state allows them to boost this feeling state of productivity, washing away that additional stress that leads to increased errors in the workforce. We can measure this using either EEG, so brainwave patterns, or heart rate. And so the user, as they maintain these feelings and this feeling state, they can power through the experience. It creates a stored memory, which can be recalled at a later date, even without the goggles, and allowing them to recall this and build that mental resilience and mental training. Helium has over 30 different experiences now on the platform, and we add new content every 60 days. These are data-driven, immersive environments that are nature-based, and proven techniques are layered onto it, such as music, nature sounds, as well as audio tracks that will guide the user to a calming state of mind. You can see in this experience that Helium can be used even without the wearable interaction. often many of our users step inside of a helium experience for a calming break in the middle of a workday. You can use helium for as little as 4 minutes, and we've been clinically validated to be able to reduce anxiety quickly in as little as 4 to 5 minutes in one of these experiences. So even without the brainwave interaction, they can float through these experiences and they're able to soak that up and also calm, relax, and it boosts an area of the brain associated with positivity and mindfulness. Even without the VR goggles, you can use helium just on a mobile device. As we mentioned earlier, you can use traditional augmented reality, but you can also use augmented reality portals. The portals allow you to step inside of a full 360-degree experience that allows you to bridge the gap between what's possible on just a mobile device and what's possible inside the immersive reality of virtual reality. Full virtual reality lets you escape your current surroundings. Augmented reality portals lets you bring that into your current space. Again, these are designed to be used as breaks, as a step away, or downshifting the nervous system after a work or after a work experience or a trauma on the workplace. We're using helium in areas of stress, situational, confined, or acute stress. This includes frontline healthcare workers in the midst of COVID. This includes manufacturing workers in the middle of a transitional work environment. This includes frontline healthcare workers and first responders, and anyone who encounters a regular stress in association with their workplace, whether that's overwork, burnout, or an actual traumatic experience. Helium is empowering those people to build resilience as they do this mental training, unlocking their potential and improving their performance just by taking them on one immersive journey at a time. As you step inside these beautiful experiences, it's like taking a walk in the park when you're not able to take a walk in the park. As I mentioned, we are clinically validated. We've been published in 4 peer-reviewed journals showing that helium can reduce anxiety in as little as 4 minutes. What you're seeing here before helium and then after just a 4-minute experience, we're able to quickly and efficiently downshift the nervous system, reducing the high beta activity in the brain, which is associated with stress, anxiety, and which also increases the likelihood of errors, increases the likelihood of an employee missing a deadline or making a mistake. As we help reduce those stress, it also helps them feel more connected to their workforce, makes them feel more connected to the environment in which they're working, and a happier employee is a more productive employee. We're able to show the data-driven aspect to this and the results to the employer. The employer can see organization metrics, usage, stress scores, as well as how is their organization trending? How is the helium score increasing as they use it? As those users continue to use helium, you can see those metrics overarching. And we're pushing out additional curriculum for the employees to use on their own time or in workshop type settings for an employee wellness initiative. We're in additional trials all around the world in areas to show the impact of helium and how it can be used in a research setting. These are clinical grade for post-traumatic stress, anxiety, suture removal, additional surgery implications, labor pain, as well as addictive qualities like opioid alternatives or trying to reduce nicotine use. We're working all over the world right now, and we have been using helium as well, all around in all of these different areas. And our first entry into Japan has been in partnership with the JETRO organization. We've also been very happy to work with many initiatives right now, translating our application into Japanese. Right now, the helium application is in English primarily, but we're in the process of translating that into Japanese as our first language, with many more to follow. Some of the responses we've been using around the world are specific to some very specific disaster responses, whether that's tornadoes, hurricanes, in partnership with the Red Cross, and additional areas of trauma. And our other users are reaching areas like our frontline workers, first responders, as well as areas for the vaccine rollout. We've partnered with the Red Cross for blood donation, blood draws, and any form of anxiety around a needle stick. And we're looking forward to partnering with other pharmaceutical companies as we do the vaccine rollouts, as well as employers trying to roll that out to their employees. We're very happy to talk about being accepted into the Sendai Ozai Tech Innovation Program. This is in partnership with Jetro, Sendai City. So we are a part of this program for the next 6 weeks, and we will be partnering with a large corporation in Japan, specifically creating an intervention for their workers, for their community, and for their clients. So using helium as a data-driven solution to address the mental health epidemic, the stress epidemic that is on us even prior to COVID, but certainly now after the pandemic, in a world that's very transitional, that is very uncertain. And these employees need mental health solutions more than ever, but they need mental health solutions that are data-driven and can show the employer that there's a return on investment when they're investing on these solutions, and they can also see the stress actually reducing in their employees and see the results of that. So we're very excited about that initiative, as well as some other initiatives we're working on. We'll also be appearing at Medical Japan next month. So we'll be in that representing helium in the Medical Japan conference, as well as a partnership translating our application for a consumer base. In conclusion, helium is meant to help our users escape their current stress and reality and be transported into not only a beautiful immersive world, but one that can actually actively train their mental resilience and actively help them improve the way that they respond to stressful situations. So as we continue to work with the Japanese region and other countries around the world, we're excited to share helium with the world and really help the world heal. So I'm happy to take any questions at the end, and I would also love to accept any email or contacts after the talk. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Wendy. I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll here. Excellent presentation. I think our country could use this type of mental healing for its nationwide psyche, I think. So as we go through polls here, I have a couple polls here. We're going to switch over to the Q&A session here. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a second here. I see there's a few more coming in. And I'm going to go ahead and close this poll and launch a fourth one here. So, and then we'll go to the question and answer session. So if I can get Robin and Billy to go ahead and come back to the Q&A session here. I'm going to go ahead and start with the question here. You know, as startups, what have your challenges been in attracting business with larger corporations or larger manufacturers, you know, and having them adopt new technologies? So, Billy, why don't we start with you? You started the presentation.
Yeah, one of the challenges, and particularly working with manufacturing entities, is, you know, who identifying the proper stakeholders who are kind of the champions of solutions like ours across. You know, it seems like particularly within manufacturers, there's a lot of onus put on facility managers and EHS professionals. So really, you know, having part of the organization really leading technology initiatives really helps us in working with our manufacturing clients.
Robin, are you with us here?
I am, yes.
Can you answer that question? I can repeat if you like. Just any
challenges?
Yeah,
if you don't mind repeating. Yeah.
Yeah, just you know, as a startup, you know, maybe you can kind of indicate what types of challenges you've had, you know, gaining business from maybe the larger corporations. I know you've Cummins as one of your major clients, but if you can just kind of discuss that as a startup.
Yeah, I think for us, it's certainly been, we started a little bit different. We started enterprise first, and so we built the product from day one to be highly scalable. We welcome a security, questionnaire, vendor questionnaire. We built the product to be extremely high quality, and that it would be very easy to support as well. So we really architected our product differently, and because of that, we have some logos I can't talk about today, but we are working with a very large auto manufacturer now on a POC. We're working on go-to-market traction with Fortune 10 companies. So we have a number of very large companies that certainly been attracted to us, and certainly the relationship with Cummins helped from the beginning because we work closely with them. We earned their business, but we've just been built a little bit differently, and really built the product from day one so that our enterprise customers could pick us up, and we could get started with a pilot and grow over time.
Wendy, I know you've gotten a lot of attention. I met you at CES a year ago, and you've gotten a lot of media attention. So how's that coming along with maybe getting bigger customers?
Yeah, and we certainly have, and like Robin, there's a lot we can't talk about, but what we've seen, particularly in the last year, is significant amount of interest and a bit of a paralysis to move forward, because everyone is in, crisis mode. But what we've seen with Helium, particularly since we're targeted to address exactly what we're encountering, which is unprecedented stressful times. And how do you persevere through that and maintain productivity through that? And so what we've seen is a big surge of interest from these enterprises really within about Q4 last year, where they finally got their feet under them and were able to move past crisis mode and into, we need to make this work for us. We need to embrace this new reality as not temporary. How do we move forward with the remote workforce? How do we move forward with a workforce that will have to work through transition regardless of what happens? If they move back into the workforce and things progress relatively normal, that's still a change. And so, my background's in change management, and everything is change. It's constant. And so these enterprises are starting to embrace that, and we're seeing them come out to say, how do we address our employees and their needs, not only as the tools and what they need to do their task list, but how do they mentally maintain throughout that process. So it's not just getting the task list done, it's getting it done well, and staying relatively sane, and also retaining your employees while you're at it. Because employee retention has been a massive issue throughout this process, and will continue to be so. And we see that ramping up with the repercussions. So we're excited to help our enterprises work through that. But it is certainly, to Billy's point, it's always a challenge trying to find the person who makes that decision and sees the sense of urgency.
With the pandemic, I think that it's kind of helping companies like you to probably maybe get a little more recognition just because everything's gone remote. So how would you consider yourself fitting into like overall digital transformation industry 4.0 strategy for companies? And are you collaborating with other startups or other companies with your technology to kind of help get the puzzle together? Billy, do you want to start?
Yeah, so a really big push for us is, working through, some of our carrier partners and broker partners on the insurance side who have very much a vested interest in managing risk at their clients and giving their clients the tools to properly, mitigate risk issues and become better risks. And so one of the things that we've done is worked with the risk engineering practices of these carriers to not only take the content that we've developed, but take that expertise that they have around risk management and deploy that through our platform. And it's really provided a tremendous resource for us to leverage the knowledge and the data that they're pulling from and coupling that with our platform to help improve risk management across their client base.
And Robin,
Yeah, I would say, we have, there's a lot of startups that we have thought about partnering with, and we're certainly interested in that. I think where we have been pulled instead by our customers is really more toward that direct connected worker solution. How can we leverage our technology for true worker enablement? Trends it's kind of staggering. When you look at the deskless workforce, there is a tremendous need for tech. There was a recent survey done by a VC firm here in the U.S. 70% of the workers want to use mobile solutions. They want better technology, and what they have today just doesn't work well. And when you think about the opportunity, whether there's legacy equipment that's not actually connected into your factory automation system, there's a tremendous opportunity to provide better solutions and better connectivity. So our goal right now, we're working with a number of companies to leverage Anvil more, is that we're not trying to really be a connected worker platform per se and connect every device. We recognize that there's a sweet spot for us with a frontline worker in making their job easier and really pulling that data. But we're super open to collaborations and new ideas. I think there's a tremendous opportunity for us to make companies reduce costs, really add revenue to the bottom line by just putting smart solutions in the hands of the workers and helping them be innovative when they can be.
Kevin, if you don't mind, I'd just like to add to some of Robin's points. What we've experienced recently is there's a number of kind of like adjacent platform companies and software companies who we've started to collaborate with. They're doing things that are adjacent but not the same. And the way we see it is it really takes a village to properly manage risks across these complicated organizations, pulling in IoT sensors, video and computer vision, and just other project management and product management softwares.
And Wendy, I know you fit in a little bit differently with Industry 4.0, but if you want to go
I
ahead.
do, yeah. Well, and I completely echo what Billy said on it takes a village for these solutions. There's nothing more true than working in the immersive technology field, because the companies that are leaning into immersive tech for their training, their error mitigation, all of the different ways that you can use immersive media through virtual and augmented reality, especially in the manufacturing space. We are helping them expand on that investment to use those tools, yes, in the manufacturing line, yes, in training, but also, for their employee wellness. And so what we're seeing is coming side by side with existing platform solutions. There's some of the major leading aerospace and automotive manufacturers are using augmented reality to model, to do quite a bit right there on the line, right there for the frontline workers. So we like to partner quite a bit with the other companies working specifically in the training space, and then helping the corporation expand on, if you're going to roll out virtual reality, that's an investment. That is a huge digital transformation. We have experience helping coach through that, and helping with that integration process, and we can help them maximize what they're already doing in other areas. So certainly being part of a larger digital transformation strategy is our ideal, because it just means that they're taking it seriously. It's deep in their culture, and it doesn't become just a proof of concept that sits on a shelf and doesn't ever move forward. So.
And Wendy, is your product available both commercially and individually to companies' employees?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we work in that model in many different ways. So often it's a corporate-led initiative that they make available to their companies. We also come up through employee assistance programs as an offering or as a benefit solution, or the employees discover us at their workplace and they want it themselves or for their family as well at home. So we do have a model in both camps.
I had one other question come in here for you, Wendy. What kind of EEG does Helium software support?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
so Yeah, it does. Right now, we use primarily these consumer grade wearables. This is an EEG sensor. It's a lightweight strap. It has a couple sensors that go across the forehead, and it's like this, and you wear it underneath a virtual reality headset. We are hardware agnostic. So as a company, we are the software and technology that powers immersive media with biometric data. So what you see of the Helium products is one example of what we do. We also custom build for corporations depending on what they want to do. So we can plug EEG into a management training scenario. So you can see a de-escalation process as they calm and address the situation. We've done many different scenarios like that as well as what you see with the Helium products. So yes, and we are working on additional sensors, or often we will collaborate with the organization we're working with on what EEG they prefer.
I thought we could talk a little bit more about, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so maybe some more of the COVID-19 use cases that, from your company's technology. I mean, I know you guys are kind of across the board here, but I'll start again with Billy.
Sure. So, working through the automated processes and collaboration processes, it's really that we have within the platform, it's enabled clients to go through some of the workflow processes that Robin showed during her presentation, and allowed people to collaborate without needing to be in close proximity to each other. Particularly at the early onset of the pandemic, where there was a lot of unknowns, these tools became very valuable because companies could continue their workflows and continue their processes without having to really change too much of how they got things done. And it really brought forth a new line of customers that wanted the ability to be able to continue to get their workflows through, but do it in a digitized way to reduce the risks of exposure across the pandemic. And then from there, people really got creative during the pandemic, and they needed to get creative. And so, through our platform, which is very flexible, and it seems like the other platform does some things very similar, we gave clients the flexibility to think about, okay, how do we need to shift, and how can we change our existing processes to become a better organization? And then ultimately, driving all of that the workflow interaction into things where we're streamlining reporting process and eliminating the passing of paper and the close proximity that brought, really just help make people more comfortable in continuing their work processes.
Robin, would you like to chime in on that?
Sure. Yeah, when COVID hit, I think everyone was certainly looking for what's the best solution for my team, and there wasn't necessarily, especially for large enterprises, one technology solution or one method that really worked in every scenario. As you think about contract workers, how do you deal with those? How do you deal with factory workers? How do you deal with your your staff that perhaps could work remote? So I think there were a lot of different solutions early on. We had templates available for our customers to use, or new customers to use very early. What we found, though, is that in some cases we already had built in to some of our customers' workflows some manner of health check. But what we found is that customers figured out a way pretty quick, whether that is we're going to put a temperature monitor, and that is the primary way, and you're going to answer a few questions, and it's tied to an HR system. It feels like a lot of companies really kind of went that way. So while we didn't have a lot of people take us up for the COVID workflows in particular, we did have them focusing on other things. So I think companies figured out in a short matter of time how to deal with the health checks that they needed for their corporate policy. And then we've been dealing with really deeper issues. How do we implement a stop job process? How do we put a connected worker solution in front of this lathe that's not connected into factory floor? How do we tie that together? So that's really where we've been focused, is on a bit, not that COVID's not super important, but we've just been pulled into perhaps issues that would hopefully be in place for a very long time.
And Wendy, would you like to I know you kind of had a couple slides on COVID.
Yeah, and I talked a little bit about the obvious COVID impact to mental health and employee well-being. So we definitely saw, again, that increased sense of urgency, also from industries that we previously hadn't worked as much with. We've worked with a multitude of enterprises, but the manufacturing sector increased significantly for us because of the impact of employee mental health. It was brought to a sense of urgency that wasn't as hot of a topic prior to COVID. So for us, it definitely expanded on some of the industries we worked with. We've always been in the healthcare space. We've always been in many different corporate wellness type initiatives, but certainly manufacturing increased quite a bit. And then also the increase of virtual and augmented reality in the midst of COVID. I mean, a lot of this has been accelerated significantly. Remote workforce initiatives, which is something that, again, we're very uniquely positioned in our industry to address that because we do work with both augmented and virtual reality. So having a mobile option that's not tethered to a virtual reality device is very unique in one of our spaces. And then also being data driven. So it's biometric data. It's a great indicator of the mental state of your employees, and it's a great indicator of how they can do that mental training. And so employers are looking for something more data driven to be able to address just the high level of concern that employee state of mind is right now when they're trying to work remotely and trying to stay productive when their kids are doing online schooling and half their workforce is out sick, and we're just in a state of uncertainty. And we think that it will continue certainly for a long time to come, because when COVID goes away, there's always another transitional point.
Shifting gear towards like kind of international business strategy, with travel kind of being cut off basically overseas, like how have your international business strategies been shifted, or how are they kind of moving forward right now? Because obviously you just can't hop on a plane and go somewhere necessarily, but and I know, Wendy, that you're kind of doing the program with Jetro in Japan right now, but how has that kind of affected your short and midterm strategies, and where do you see yourselves going when it comes to international business strategy, Japan, wherever in the world? So, Billy, you want to go ahead with that?
Sure. So, in 2019, we had, again, working through some of our partners with the carriers, we actually, expanded into Asia. We've had clients that have used our platform in Japan, but they're North American based contractors using the system in Japan. We operate through our defense contractors on defense bases across the globe. And through our insurance carrier partners, we're looking to expand into new geographic regions. Currently, our home base is in Chicago, and most of our clientele is in North America. But we have begun expanding in primarily in through Europe and Asia, and the goal is to expand, globally over the next several years, working through organizations like Jetro and through our other partners.
And Robin, would you like to add to that?
Sure. We've been primarily in North America, but we're very interested in expanding. We've been running some pilots in South APAC. We've also actually been running some pilots in India, and probably the area that we will expand to first will be probably Europe and into the UK. We are English only today, but are looking at kind of our go forward translation plans over the next year, and we'll be firming those up. If we have a customer that's interested in faster expansion, we're certainly open to that. And we have been really kind of vetting what kind of functionality might need to change as a result of that, more of a global rollout. We feel like that at this point in time, it's just really a matter of translation and localization. But we want to make sure that we're planning thoroughly and doing that right. We're very open to expanding outside of North America more aggressively, and would be happy to talk to anyone who might be interested in that.
Thank you. And Wendy?
Yeah, and I shared a little bit about our global kind of go-to-market strategy, but we tend to partner very strategically with local companies that can be our on-site presence when we are, across the globe. Our headquarters is based in Missouri, and for us, that's critical, having that on-site available expertise, the localization, relevance for the area that we're working in. So partnering with Jetro has been fantastic. Being part of that Sendai City Innovation Program as well. It's very targeted. That's us partnering with a very large life insurance company where we're working with them directly on their needs and building specifically to their needs and the needs of their clients. And so as we enter these different markets, we have worked all over the globe, most predominantly in the UK, the UAE, and now Japan, as far as our largest international markets, as well as obviously North America. And so as we look to lean into that, as we're translating our application, as we're getting that additional feedback from Japanese corporations and from the entities we work with, we just welcome any additional build to suit as we continue to do that. So we're excited for the opportunities this year, excited to see what comes out of Medical Japan as well. And it's really all about those on-site partnerships for us.
Thank you. Well, I think we're getting a little short on the questions from the audience, so I thought I would, well, first thank you guys for your presentations, but if you guys would like to give maybe a quick kind of wrap up and any final comments for the program, we'll go ahead and do that right now. So Billy, any final comments?
Yeah, we look forward to working with the member companies that are here. We have a platform which we have translated into other languages and are looking to engage with partners globally, including Japan and their North American affiliates, as well as the people operating in Japan, and look forward to engaging with anyone that's interested.
And Robin, do you have any final comments?
Yes, I will first. I'm sorry you're not able to see me on camera today. I had some technical difficulties, but really appreciate the opportunity to share the Anvil story with you today. We are super passionate about our customers, as I said, and would certainly welcome an opportunity to talk to any companies that are in the manufacturing space, supply chain, automotive, and certainly even construction as well. I love to hear what our prospects might be doing. It helps us learn and build a better product. And if you were interested in doing something with us, we'd be welcome you to do a pilot as well. So thank you very much for your time today. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Robin. And Wendy?
I don't think I could say it any better. I echo what my fellow panelists have said. Just a pleasure to be able to share healing with you today, to be able to hear from these other data-driven solutions as well. And so we welcome any and all questions, inquiries about a proof of concept or a pilot, and just being able to provide some additional research and information to anyone who's at all interested. So thank you, and thank you to the Jetro team for putting this together.
Thank you, Wendy. I would like to thank all three of our speakers today for taking the time to join our Jconnect webinar and for your excellent presentations and all of your good comments here in the panel session. And thank you to our audience for sticking through the program today as well. While this is our first Jconnect webinar of 2021, we look forward to continuing this series with new industry topics. And so stay tuned for announcements from our Jconnect landing page. 2020 was a challenging year for everyone, so I'd like to sincerely wish the best of luck to everyone here in 2021. So thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Thank you.